All right, well, welcome to today's MVP office hours for the US. Today's December 1st. I'm Jackie Travieso. We should be joined momentarily by Jared Kingston as well. Dale has got other commitments during this hour. He'll join us next time. So what you see on your screen right now is our new logo. Salesforce has provided us with a new Trailblazer logo, which is kind of cute. If you are looking for information about MVP office hours, you can go to our website, mvpofficehours.info. And on a slide coming up here, I'm going to talk about how we are getting ready to globally expand the program, but that's the URL that you'll use. On the right-hand side of our slide here, we've got a whole slew of events coming up in 2018, all the different community events that are labeled the Dream-ins. So if you haven't heard of these, or you want to make a trip out to, I don't know, let's say Tahoe, because they do their Dream-in the first day, and then the second day they do a community like ski day, snow day kind of a thing. And I believe I have heard that this is the last year that they'll be doing it actually in Tahoe. And I think next year it is in 2019, it will be moved to, I believe, the Sacramento area somewhere. So share that with you. And then we've got London's Calling, Snowforce out in Salt Lake City, Punta Gorda, or Puna Dreamin', excuse me, in Uruguay, and then Southeast Dreamin' out in Atlanta. So if you can join any of these events, you can find more information just on good old Google by doing a search, and they all have web pages with more information and registration information. All right, so our call, the US call, meets generally the first and third Friday of the month during this 2 p.m. Eastern time. I've given you a bit.ly there that you can bookmark and use as your registration link every single time that we've got a new call coming up. It's a standardized link now. And this call is just basically, it's an open Q&A. It's a discussion where people ask questions, and anybody on the line is welcome to chime in, ask additional questions, give advice, and share their experience. Even though this is dubbed the MVP office hours, everybody is welcome to ask and answer questions. So we definitely encourage that. And we kind of use this time to talk about approaches and pointers and resources and recommendations. If we've got a larger, more in-depth question that might require screenshots and maybe some back and forth, we like to suggest that people add that to answers and then provide a link in our Trailblazer community page for a couple of reasons. Basically, it helps build a kind of a repository of questions that later on, when people search, those questions and answers and discussions will come up and help the greater community. So we are recording this call. We'll post it to both the Trailblazer community and Twitter. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and mute yourself just to eliminate background noise. And then to ask a question, just simply in the chat, you raise your hand, or if there's dead air, go ahead and just chime in and say you've got a question. Please announce yourself so we know who we're speaking to. And then again, everyone is welcome to share their experiences. And I mentioned earlier that we've got a global website now. So on our global website, we've got MVP Office Hours US and then EMEA. And then coming soon, we'll have India, we'll have MVP Office Hours Espanol. We're going to include the nonprofit group, and then also there's a new students group that we'll be forming. And this is where we'll have all of the information about who's leading the groups, when the calls are, what you can expect, and how to get involved. So stay tuned for that. We're working with all of these groups. It's taking a little bit longer with the holidays, but we'll get this up and running really soon. And with that, let's go ahead and kick off any questions from our audience. And please don't be shy. If you've got the question, others do too. So,
hi, this is Chris. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chris. Thank you.
Hi, this is Chris from Chicago. Yeah. So my question is, I'm just starting my first process builder piece. And the question is, I'm using it off of a custom object called client appreciation. And every time a particular task record is used, like a pick list value, I'm adding like points to it. So my question is, in Process Builder, in the immediate actions, can I create all these pick list values and added points within that immediate action, or do I have to create a whole bunch of is completed true types of scenarios? And I apologize if I'm not wording it correctly.
Okay. I know that with Process Builder, when more than one pick list value should trigger something, those are on separate lines. So
okay,
we can't just separate them with commas. We have to actually have that as a separate line of criteria.
And am I limited to how many I can create in that criteria?
I'm sure that there is a limitation. I think it's huge. I think I remember someone saying like 200 criteria. I'm sure that's something that we can search. James, you're on the line. I know you've got a lot of Process Builder experience. Do you know if there's a limitation on that?
I haven't heard of anything. It'd be something that you would run into by accident.
Okay.
But I'm sure it's up there. I don't know of a solid limit. If you're 5 to 10 or whatever, you should be more than fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. Yeah, that's what I'm at. And I just didn't know if it runs into any size limits or something, but I'll try that. I think that's the best way. I just wanted to, before I tried and figured out.
Sorry, I kind of missed it a little bit, but basically anytime you update a record with like say 5 or 6 possibilities of pick list values, that's when you want to create or update the record, or?
Yeah, so it's based. Yeah, so it's based off of the activity on that record.
Mm-hmm.
So, every time the activity type equals, let's just say, success story, it's going to add 10 points. If it's a focus group, it's going to add 35. So
got it.
I'm guessing add additional criterias for each one of those pick list values is probably the way that everyone's suggesting here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Potentially too, in addition to that, you could have some sort of formula saying points to add on the activity or something like that, right? That has just a formula field that says, hey, this pick list value is associated with 10 points. That pick list value has 50 points, so on and so forth.
I think there's
similar to that too.
Yeah, I tried that. I think there's a issue with
the formula
type, so I have to build workflows. But
okay.
But this was helpful. Thank you.
So it looks like the Process Builder, the limitation is on the nodes, being those decision diamonds down the left side, and that looks like that's 200.
Oh, okay. I'm in the clear for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there are 200 nodes in a process, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, and this is my first one I'm building, so I'm just trying to find best practices. If I should be creating multiple or try to just put them all into one type of action, but it looks like I can create a couple criteria nodes.
I am dropping in the chat window a link to process limits. So
thank you.
I'll drop it here too. Let's see if I can do it here. There we go.
And then there's the third option here too. If you want to make it configurable so you don't have to update the process every time, right? You could create a custom setting. And this is kind of going down the code path here a little bit, but just bear with me for a few minutes. So you'd create a custom setting with basically a name value pair for each of your pick list values. And then you'd associate those with an integer of a point value or something, right? And then you'd have an Apex class that has a invocable method to it. So just a simple method. And that would take a list of strings as an argument. And basically it's just a single string, but you need a list because it's an invocable method. And you just query the custom setting based on that attribute. And so you get the custom setting value of, say, I think you had success in there. So you go like, okay, so custom setting were a success, and then it returns the value of that custom setting, and then you just plug it into your new record or update record action. So I don't know if you're familiar with code or anything, but just look for invocable method if you want to go down that path.
This is Deepa. I have a question for you. What is it that you're trying to accomplish with this? Like, what's the main goal for building this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I lost the screen. So my goal is, as I stated, I'm creating a client appreciation object, and every time a task is added based on a pick list value of like reference call, success story, focus group, etc., there'll be a point value associated to that activity type or task type.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what I'm trying to accomplish with Process Builder is, when the task is completed and the pick list value equals success story, we should be adding 10 or whatever number. So my question for the group was, should I be creating multiple criteria based on each individual pick list value, or could I put it all into one immediate action? And I guess the goal.
You would need to create multiple for that criteria, but my concern is, are you going to be overriding the previous value, which is what I'm getting at? Do you need to keep those numbers sequentially as things happen for that particular individual that you're calling upon? Or like, are you going to need a report off of this? Because you're going to need to do something different if you need to capture the history of those values. Do you know what I'm asking?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to have a workflow that captures that value at that activity record. And then I think the next step would be to somehow summarize all those values into one total point bucket.
Mm-hmm.
That shows what the current point value is. And we can have negative ones if they redeem like gift cards or some type of swag.
So it is cumulative. You don't want to compare from one time to another time, do you? Like, what happens if that same person gets another activity with that one pick list criteria? What I'm saying is the previous one will get overwritten and your numbers will get skewed up. Like, do you need to keep the history of what was, let's say, this month versus next month, or the first time an activity happened versus the next time?
Yeah, no, I don't keep it. No, I just needed one overall bucket of the total.
Okay, good. All right. You should be able to do it with just the Process Builder nodes without a problem.
Yeah.
The other thing is, since you're building, this process is your first one that you're building, you're limited to the number of characters when you're creating the names of the nodes and creating the names of the actions. So think about a coding system that means something to you, so you can do some shorthand, so you can actually see what each of those items is doing and where it's doing it.
Okay, and then I just inserted the kind of the link that I've used from Doug Ayers. He talked about this, so I'm kind of mimicking what he wrote. He put something where he was logging activities against a case. So I'm kind of reprocessing or Frankensteining what he used and coming up with something that works for me.
Okay, I'll put that here for everyone to see. You guys can see it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
I know that's a long URL.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you for asking the question.
Yeah.
All right. Who else? Who's up next? Got a lot of new names on our list today, so please don't be shy. Feel free to ask anything that you need to know. This is a safe zone, promise.
Hey, Jackie, there was a lady who had asked a question in the MVP office hours group on the success community. I don't know if she's here. Is she?
Let's see, was that today or was that possibly?
No, I've been helping her. Hang on, let me log back in the success.
Okay. If you can log back in, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Squire, how do you unmute in Zoom? Okay, here, let me do it for you. Oh, good question, because you are on just, let me see.
Her name is Heather Creel.
Okay. Heather, are you on the line? I don't see her. Squire, you don't have audio capabilities for some reason. If you want to dial back in and activate the audio through your computer system, or that's probably a good idea. Okay, he's going to dial back in. And I did not see Heather listed. I got a couple phone numbers here, so I don't know who those people are. Okay, we'll give him a second to dial back in. While we're waiting for him, I guess one of the questions that I have for the group is really a 2018 goals. What type of goals does everybody have for Salesforce related goals for 2018? What kinds of things are you guys trying to accomplish that that you're either trying to figure out how to accomplish them, or how to even begin to tackle them? Is anyone going after certifications or trying to tackle Trailhead in
This is Chris again. I can answer. Yeah, definitely certifications. I've been using Salesforce for 12 years. I haven't, for some reason, haven't had a chance to get certified. So I've been going through the trailheads. I'm over 220 right now, and also going through some of the online courses by Mike Wheeler. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but so I guess maybe a question or maybe some comments or feedback would be on folks that have done it, taken the certification. Do you take it online, or you take it at a location? And those types of things would be the next types of questions I would like answers to.
Oops. Jackie, can I answer that?
Absolutely. I was just going to call on you, Deepa.
I just sent you privately instead of publicly putting that in there in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So first of all, we're going to start a new session in January with the Salesforce. By the way, if I come across muffled, Jackie.
You're fine. You're completely fine.
Okay, good. Because I have, like, the right side of my face is paralyzed right now. The Salesforce Certification Study Group, our goal is to help members prepare for the certification exam, and we offer like a 14-week program where we help you, make you go through all these curriculum that we've developed with exercises, and you learn by collaborating with the members in the group. And by the end of it, you're ready to take your exam. And this past cohort, we had literally like 99% passing rate. I only know of one person who didn't pass. So I would say go check out on the Success Community, Salesforce Certification Study Group, join. We do require you have a proper picture and a proper title in your name. The second thing I'm gonna say is I advise to take the exam at a facility for one pure reason. If you're going to do it online by yourself, you have to have a camera that is above you, that not only looks at you, but looks at your keyboard, the way you're moving your mouse, and your monitor. which is very hard for a lot of people to do. And if you have even a nanomillisecond of disconnect, the exam goes bye-bye and you have to start all over again. If you go to a facility that's designed to give exams, you don't have to worry about any of that. They will take all your stuff away, put it in a locker room. You only go in there with a piece of pencil and paper. And the third tip is read the questions. It's like if you know Salesforce in and out and you clearly read the questions and understand what the question is asking, you will be able to pick the right answers from the multiple choice exams that are there, and you'll be able to pass.
Those are all very good recommendations. And to add to Deepa's comment about going to a facility, if that facility has a connectivity issue, they can bring it back up. And it does happen, and it is scary, but you will not lose what you've already completed.
Yeah, whereas if it goes bye-bye online, you have to open a support case and wait till support gets back to you. So it's a little longer process online.
This is James. I just want to kind of second Deepa's suggestion here. I've done it both ways for multiple certs, and there's a certain convenience to doing it at home and remote and all that. But like Deepa said, you have to get the camera angle just right. You have to get your microphone volume level just right as well. I know one particular time I was taking the certification, I got kicked off for a couple of different reasons. One was being too loud, so my microphone was too hot, and they shut it down on me right away. And then so after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just like shut up and not move around and not talk and all that stuff. And then they shut me off again for being too quiet. So there's doing it remote has its advantages of doing it from home, comfort and all that stuff, but my testing center is like literally 5 minutes down the road. So basically I just hop in the car and go there real quick and do it there. And it's, there's a certain benefit to doing it that way. Also say for when you're starting out doing the certifications, you'll probably want to do the admin one first or the app builder one. They're both pretty straightforward, and it'll get you get your feet wet in the certifications as well. And like Deepa said, there's a study group that she hosts and has been very, very helpful to a lot of people in there.
James, the way they've changed their certifications, I think you're better off taking the admin one first so you learn all the basics. And then the app builder, they've rewritten the app builder, so I'm not so sure it's that easy anymore. I've gotten mixed feedback on it. Some people have said it was very hard for them. Others have said it was very easy. But if you at least go through the ADM 201, you're gonna get the full breadth of the Salesforce functionality, because now they cover the full, the sales side, which is the campaign management, the lead management, sales management, and they also cover cases now. So service is included in the ADM 201 as well. And so I would recommend going through the 201 first, or the admin one first, before you tackle anything else. It's just a good foundation to have.
Hello.
Fantastic.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi there.
This is Carlos Siqueira, Tampa, Florida.
Hi, Carlos.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Several things, plans for 2018. Before, just piggyback on what just said about App Builder. As people might know, I'm fairly new with Salesforce, not even 2 years yet. But I took the admin first time last year, and I took the App Builder back this past February. And for what I read and what I'm talking to people, is one of the hardest one. I'm glad that I took it, I passed, and I'm not even looking to do the advanced admin right now. That's gonna come when I find that I need it justifiable. I will do it. But the App Builder, for what I see, and I'm speaking to other people with a lot of experience, is very comprehensive, is hard these days. That's on the certification. Plans for 2018, I have a Tampa Bay study group here that has never been active. and I'm pushing because I start to go to the meetings February of last year with zero experience, zero certifications. Now I have 3 certifications, and the majority of people that I met, they still where they were before, claiming couple years experience, no certifications, and it becomes an issue because they try to change jobs and they can't. So I'm running this study group in Tampa. It's small, but we don't measure ourselves for how many people we have. We measure for the results and how dedicated we are and living proof that things can be done. That's on the study group. Other plans for 2018, I was approached by people from Salesforce.org to try to run once a month or every 2 weeks, not-for-profit session exactly like this for Brazil. That's one. And just this week, I was approached by people in Salesforce in Brazil to try to run something like office hours or MVP hours, maybe once a month or every 2 weeks in Brazil as well. So that's are my plans for 2018.
You are very ambitious, sir. That is fantastic. I'm excited for you.
Well, have to try.
Yes, absolutely. And for your study group that you're going to revive and kick off, I will make an introduction to another gentleman by the name of Mayank, who is running a study group in the New Jersey area. And I think that he would be a great mentor for you to help you get through some of the hurdles.
Oh yeah, Mayank is, I know him. We keep in touch. Yeah, he was one of the first guys that helped me out last year when I was crawling, with basic formulas and stuff. Yeah, I think his success rate in there is like a really high.
Yes. Okay. Well, fantastic. Well, then you already have got the right connections there. That's wonderful.
Good.
That's wonderful. And then you can always connect with Deepa as well, because her group's been going for quite a while and they have an incredible success rate.
Yeah, I have to do that.
You said 4 years?
Yep. 4
That's
years.
wonderful. So you're in good company, Carlos.
Hey, Salesforce is always a good company.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. And I believe Squire's back on the line. Squire, can you hear us? Because I know you had some comments and questions.
Yeah, so really quick, thanks. Sorry for the phone problems. So as far as certification, I think that the biggest challenge for anyone who's going to get certified, and Deepa, you could probably talk about this for an hour, is there is definitely a strategy to taking the Salesforce exams correctly. And I think utilizing the checkbox to review, reading every question, really it's not one of those exams where it's just regurgitated information. They're really expecting you to think through every question and know the answer, not just come up with the answer. So there's a testing strategy for all of them, even the more the extended ones. Like even when you start getting into the architect ones, they are clearly trying to make you confirm your knowledge, almost like an ACT, right? It wasn't just regurgitating knowledge. It was like, do you know these answers? So to have a strategy, don't just study and show up for the exam. And I also mirror the taking it on site. There's just so many more benefits to going somewhere. But what I really wanted to comment on was the earlier comment. I'd hate to take this all the way back to Chris, right? Was you were talking about the roll-ups?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to offer is that what you're doing works great. I think that's that your solution is a good idea. What I would like to offer as a contrary to that is if you add a formula on the activity that does that math for you right away, like you said, a certain status to give you certain points. If the task itself holds that number, your process now doesn't have to evaluate the pick list. It just picks up the value from the child. So you could just say, did I add a new task? And then just roll up the value, and it would just trigger every time they're updated. And then it would be then you just have to add them all up versus keep appending. Right. And that was sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but the other thing I was going to offer too is that there's also a tool that is kind of a hidden gem that Andrew Fawcett has called the Declarative Lookup Rollup Summary package, and that's a great way to effectively write a trigger with declarative tools, and it helps you do some of the stuff you're talking about in a unique way as well, because what you're really doing is a roll up, not the process builder is doing it for you, but you're really doing a roll up against activity. So anyway, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And then to Deepa's earlier comment, if you store that point value on the activity that actually has the pick list, you could actually report and roll up across other records. Like maybe you want to say, give me everything from Wisconsin, all the activities that have been presented, roll up that total point value and compare it state by state or region by region. You'd have those numbers hard coded into the records rather than having the process builder generate a number and then add it up.
You just stole my thunder. I was going to bring that up. Is I did something similar for a law firm where they wanted to have a report for month-end summary totals for bonuses. And so we created a similar formula on the task record that gave certain points based on what pick list it is. So that formula is literally on the task where it compares the pick list values and gives it a number. And if you want to look at a good way to do that, we just did a great formula for everyday session at Dreamforce. And Jackie, I will give you the presentation if you want to put it in the MVP office hours group, or
Okay.
you can put it up there. But what that does is then now you have the flexibility of running reports by, the different pick list values and then totaling them up, and you can even put them on dashboards. And what this does is it preserves it by the date and time versus overriding it with a process builder constantly.
If I could just offer one more thing, Jackie, if you could add to the MVP notes that I stole Deepa's thunder. I don't think anyone's done that yet.
Absolutely. There's a first for everything. What was the declarative rollup package? Who was that by? Is it Rollup Helper? Which one is that? And I'll grab the link.
Andrew Fawcett's declarative lookup rollup summary. I just dropped the URL into the chat if you want to put that there too.
Yep, that's good.
It has saved us a million times over. As Process Builder continues to become more and more robust, it may phase itself out, but the ability to effectively do a master detail roll up with a declarative tool and effectively just generating records, data entry to generate those lookups has been invaluable to us in our multiple orgs. So
Very
Great.
cool.
Thank you.
All right, good discussion, good tips, good insight. Anyone else have questions?
Hi, this
Hey,
is...
Jen,
Oh, sorry.
go for it.
Oh, so this is Jason Mitchell from Des Moines, Iowa, and I've been working on Salesforce for a few years now, and we recently rolled out like a service console, and it's in Classic now. We're switching that over to Lightning, and one of our main lifelines for our CSAs are emails, right? And we found that the email functionality out of Salesforce leaves a bit to be desired. We have users sending 25, 30, 40 emails a day. And it just seems like it's really tough. We try to keep our users out of other email clients, and we try to keep them all in Salesforce. And we're just having a really tough time. We're actually starting to lose users and lose adoption. And we actually tried to create our own custom email tool that uses the API, and we found that we started hitting the 5,000 email limit per day. So we really have to take a hard look at how we do emails. So I just didn't know, has anybody using like emails heavily, or have heard of other clients that use email heavily? Like we're really reaching for straws here. We could take any help we could get.
Are these individual emails, or are we sending mass emails in small groups?
Individual emails.
Okay, and are they templated emails, or are they just...
Some will be templated and others will not be templated.
Okay.
And then we also have some other requirements around different pieces of encryption that we have to make sure we get when needed, right? So, if it kind of sounds like we tried to build like what you'd get out of like an Outlook or Gmail into Salesforce, we kind of did, and that's coming back to bite us now.
Okay, so there is a plugin, I guess, if you'd call it, Salesforce for Outlook. Have you looked at that since it's already compatible and it already?
We are actually taking a look at that right now. One of our concerns with that plugin is we're just worried about people not going into Salesforce anymore if their main job has to deal with email. Do you know what I mean? Like if your main job is email, how do we make sure you still get the usage out of Salesforce that we want them to get?
Can I ask a question? What is your absolute challenge with the email from the console? Like, I'm getting ready to set up the service console for a new company.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was going through the documentation, they ask you to create a Lightning action to be able to send an email from the Lightning console.
Yep.
And from the demos that I've seen and what I've done with my demo org, you can attach like a knowledge article and send it out. So from a like email, like writing perspective, what is the challenge that you're having?
I think some of the challenges that we're having are part of its formatting, and I'm hoping that going to Lightning is going to help with this. But our users just are, whenever we talk to them, you know, part of the items that we hear are they have a tough time forwarding emails. They have a tough time whenever we reply to all. It sometimes drops contacts off of the email. Formatting is one of the biggest one. Before we were using, because we're in Classic right now, so before we build a custom tool, our business partners, they were sending out very non-professional looking emails from not template emails, but the non-templated emails were not looking very professional.
Were you using advanced email at all?
We were not, because we were in Classic, yeah. And once we turned that on, I think it seemed to have gotten a little bit better. But you know, it's like kind of like I said, we're expecting, you know, so many emails a day. We just have to make sure that the process is the best.
Sure. And the reason I'm asking is because some of the stuff you're talking about is covered by advanced, obviously only if you can use it, but the limit is only if you're using this API to deliver. If you're just using the standard composer, it doesn't hit the limits. So is the custom app you built the actual problem?
It's definitely part of the problem for sure.
Okay.
We were trying to solve using a custom tool because we were trying to give functionalities such as, you know, making sure you can draft, making sure, you know, tables show up correctly if you have tables. There was the content delivery functionality with the email attachments over a certain size.
Mm-hmm.
That was a compliance concern because they went out as unprotected links.
Right.
So
right.
we had a few different other pieces that we were trying to solve for on top of being able to solve for just like the general formatting, saving drafts, which I think you can do in Classic, but not in Lightning.
And we should have asked at the start, what email tool is your standard? I mean, are you on Outlook or
Yep.
You are on Exchange? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
right.
And we just recently went up to Office 365, and I know that lends itself to some more, you know, like Lightning for Outlook and different pieces like that we're definitely looking at, like I said, and we have a couple groups in beta right now. But I was just, you know, just looking for some advice, looking for, you know, who's had clients that, you know, are email heavy and just like, not how do we do it, because that's too broad, but, you know, what's like a best practice for email use in Salesforce?
So the new email functionality that's come out with, you know, like I think the Winter 18 or even summer, more like Winter 18. Remember, Service Cloud is just now getting migrated to Lightning. And you have the ability to create templates. Have you tried to play with that in your sandbox to see if you can do that? and create some templates that the CSRs can use so that they're not creating their own formatted templates. And then macros is another way to look at it. Although macros automates the processes, so it's not macros as much as it's the templated emails. I think that should help you. Now, as far as like reply to all and dropping all of that, I've not heard of it much, but have you reached out to Salesforce support or even posted anything in the success community, the Lightning Now group, or even the service, Lightning service group?
I think that's actually something that if I would have to say is one of my goals for the upcoming year is getting more active in the success community. So.
Because I think the benefit of doing that is that there are a lot of product managers who look at the posts that are coming in, especially Lightning Now group, I know, and even the Service Cloud. I think there's a group for Service Cloud for Lightning. Let me look. I can't type and do this talk at the same time, but I'm going to look for it. But I would recommend putting messages in those groups so that you can have the product managers who can help them. Because I'll tell you one thing, when I post messages and a product manager sees it, they actually do reach out to me and say, what's going on, Deepa? And I've actually kind of reported a couple bugs that way. So I would try and reach out and say, is there someone at Salesforce I can talk to about this? Here's what our challenges we're having and how do we overcome that? I think the Lightning product managers would love to hear the challenges you're having.
Cool, thank you.
And while somebody else answers, I'm going to look for the group for you. And these are all field service Lightning apps.
I think one of the other things too is without seeing what your pains are and why they're pains, and I know that you want to drive your users to do everything in Salesforce, and while that might seem ideal, I guess my question would be, what else are they doing in Salesforce? So if you were to go to a solution like Salesforce for Outlook, because it pulls all of your leads and your contacts into and makes them visible within Outlook on a panel, on a right panel, if that makes your rep's job easier to function there until they need to jump into Salesforce to do XYZ, you might just reevaluate the end user's pain and make sure that you're making their jobs easier so that they can be the most productive.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. I just want to kind of second Jackie's comment too, and just say, email is basically one of Salesforce's weakest points, in my opinion. It does a lot of good things, but email is probably one of the weaker facets of Salesforce. It's probably why they, purchased Pardot and Marketing Cloud and all that stuff, right? But, basically, I think Jackie's under the kind of the right direction, where you kind of have to switch it around. You kind of have to pivot in terms of taking a closer look at Salesforce for Outlook and kind of going with that approach potentially. Because it does bring Salesforce, quote unquote, into Outlook instead of, the other way around like you were mentioning. But you can click on any of those contacts and it'll bring you right into Salesforce, where the rep could take it from there and work on cases or whatever.
Cool.
So you might have to have some sort of compromise in there, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. That's the very good points. Thank you very much.
I think a good compromise will be if you can try and templatize your emails so that everyone uses standard templates.
Very cool. Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And then the other thing that we didn't talk about that you may not be aware of, but you can pull information from Salesforce into various templates through things like Conga Composer, which is a third-party app. So, I guess really need to look at your, all of your business requirements for emailing. And are there ways to cut back on the manual entry and let Salesforce through Conga Composer or another third-party app do what you need to do so that it's seamless, quick, and accurate.
Cool. Yeah. Conga Composer. I'll take a look at that.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. We've got about 12 minutes left. Have we sparked any other thoughts or questions?
Jason, just real quick, are you part of the Des Moines user group at all with Terry and that gang?
I am a part of it. I don't necessarily go super often. That's another one of my goals. Like I said, I want to get I want to get more involved in the community.
Sure.
But yeah, I've been a couple times. So
cool. Yeah, actually, I'm actually from West Des Moines, so
okay, cool.
Said Des Moines, I'm like, hey, sometime.
Nice.
But yeah, you might want to just hop on there and see if Terry or whoever else attends that could help out too.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
And it's good to get as many perspectives as you can, because there are oftentimes things that you don't think about until somebody says something and it sparks another idea or another train of thought. So the more the better, I think. All right, anyone else?
Yeah, hey Jackie, it's Jared.
Hi, Jared.
Hey, so I'm curious if anybody has run across a solution that I'm trying to find for a customer. So the scenario is that they upload a lot of files to their account records within Salesforce, and so the problem they run into is they have all these files that it's hard if they go to an account record, right, to find files essentially because there's so many. So curious what other people have done around this type of deal to make it easier, right? Whether it's a different component or an app or something to make it easier for them to filter on or find files. I've tried a couple different component apps on the App Exchange to remedy it, but have been unsuccessful yet on finding something that would give them a ease of sifting through those files.
Jared,
Sure.
this is
Yeah.
Dina. The only way I've dealt with those is because working with lawyers, they are so file heavy. I'd had to use the third-party products, and the two that come to my mind was NetDocuments and SpringCM. Because it's hard to do that in Salesforce unless you're really using the folder structure and the hierarchy really well. And I'm trying to think if I can remember. There was a product that allowed you to build this. It's NetDocuments. NetDocuments allows you to build a folder structure, and then you can, when you go into an account or an opportunity or whatever record, even custom objects you're working on, you can see all the files organized by folders, just like the way you're in Windows. And then if you really needed to find something, you can jump into their application within Salesforce, do a search for that. It's a really, really good product. It's called NetDocuments.
Did you say NetDocuments?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I've tried some other things like there's the Lightning Action Grid App Exchange component by Salesforce Labs, and even looked at a custom search tool, that search component. You can choose what object you search on. I think what I'm seeing is it gets tricky, especially because they're in the transition mode of going from Classic to Lightning, and they also have a lot of documents still attached in the old, notes and attachments. So it gets tricky there because now you have files and you have attachments together, and doing stuff around that because they're two different tables, although there's the combined attachment table. But that one, from what I've found, Salesforce does not allow you to even query that table directly. You have to do it through an account. And so hit some dead ends there, but I'll check out that app because that sounds possible.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. It's a pretty good application. You'd have to go through a migration process to that and to retraining, but I mean, it's a fantastic app. They have a great integration with Salesforce.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mhm. Hey, Jackie, on the 2018 goals,
Yes,
can I share something?
please. Yes.
I'm looking forward to helping the students with the MVP office hours for students that you're trying to start.
I am excited about that as well.
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm actually really looking forward to get involved in the nonprofit side of the Salesforce ecosystem. I'm really, really working hard to find some good nonprofit projects to work on.
That is fantastic.
So I'm putting the word out there.
Hey, Jackie,
Yes.
just to piggyback on what Deepa just mentioned, there is that new program called a Trailhead for students. And I highly recommend anybody that has feel the call, call of a heart to be involved, to get their business specialist super badge and sign up for that, because that's a great cause. I mean, I remember that I'm sure, Deepa and I, we were in the same section. Remember Deepa on the breakfast?
The breakfast, yeah.
Yeah, we had mimosas in there. If people didn't know, we had mimosas in there.
Yes, we were drinking champagne. And
yes,
Carlos, I completed and I submitted my application.
Yeah, well, I know because I saw your posting. I just got my badge on Tuesday. And but yeah, that's a great program, and I encourage everybody to do that. That's one of my plans. Well, actually, it's already in 2017. I'm already involved, but I recommend anybody that wants to, give back to the community and feel the call to teach the basics of Salesforce to get on that program.
Fantastic. Great recommendation. Thank you. All right, looks like we've got 5 minutes left. We can take one more question or comment.
I have a question, but I'm afraid to ask it.
Don't be afraid. Go for it. It's done, I promise.
So I didn't get to go to Dreamforce this year, but I saw the keynotes and I heard a lot of people talking about, say, for example, my Einstein. And I want, my boss and I want to use my Einstein in our org. And I know that the answer that everyone's going to give me is, well, contact your AE. And I've contacted my AE. I don't know how do people go about getting new products, or like if you said, well, my organization wants my Einstein, how do we get it? We want it. So what's the next step? And I've contacted my AE and I've gotten no response. Who else at Salesforce do we contact?
So isn't there a beta program going on for my Einstein? Deepa, do you remember, or Jared, do you remember that being announced?
I don't remember that. I wasn't in my Einstein keynote. But what I found is no matter what you want to, like whenever you want to buy a product, you have to go to your AE. Do you have any idea why your AE is not getting back to you?
I have theories.
I know about the product.
I have theories. We're a small nonprofit, and I don't think that we have the cachet that our AE is looking for.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're giving any like free licenses to nonprofits on that yet. So that might be an issue. Like he might not have anything to give you. So.
But either way, he or she should be giving you an answer. And Stuart, I'm writing this down so that I can maybe do some digging for you as well. Go ahead, Deepa.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, are you at the point where the regular reporting is not working for you, reports and dashboards?
We have real life use case for the analytical machine learning. We have data that we want to put in an algorithm and see what Einstein can do to spit back some recommendations for us.
Mm-hmm. It's a very cool product. I've seen it. It's really cool, but I'm not even so sure if they're at the point where they're completely, and we're getting recorded. I can't say anything.
Right.
I would say wait for a few months, at least till February, and then reach out to your AE again. Hopefully by then they might have decided what they're doing for nonprofits.
Okay.
And the other option is if you go to the hub and in the hub ask a question to see if you can get either Mary Puchevsky or Judy Son to help you to get some answers.
Okay.
Because they're really good product managers, like they're very responsive. So you might want to go to the hub and say, hey, we're interested in this. Can you direct us on who we can talk to? And Mary or Judy will definitely answer.
Okay, that's good.
There is also on Trailblazer Community a Salesforce Einstein group. And I would just declare your love for it and to ask them how do you get it?
Yeah. Well, our use case is so similar to the one that they showed at the keynote that it kind of made my skin crawl when they showed the one they're using for the universities to show how many students are have propensity to drop out. And the way that they were describing the use case was amazing, and I thought we could use that today.
Very cool. Yep, that's what I would do.
Yeah, so I would suggest highly post on the hub and ask saying, how do we go on about getting even into the beta or something, right? Because the strategy that they have for profits versus nonprofit is different. So
Okay.
try and ask Mary or Judy and see if you can get some leeway that way.
All right.
Edwin.
Or try tracking your
Gentlemen,
AE down at Trailhead Live next week too.
Ah, thank you. We'll talk about it more then.
Very good. Very good. Well, that brings us to 3 o'clock Eastern time straight up. We've come to the end of our hour. Thank you everyone for this lively and very informative discussions around all of the questions that people had. I really appreciated everybody's input. And thank you MVPs for joining and sharing your knowledge and experiences, because that is most valuable and greatly appreciated as well. So watch for the posting of all of these resources in the community, Trailblazer community page, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Jackie.
All right, thanks everyone. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.